Hello everyone, welcome to the After Hours Gaming League Season 4 B-League playoffs for the round of 16 between Cerner and Qualcomm. If you have not seen game number 1 or game number 2, I highly recommend you go ahead and do so. But if you're still around, I'm going to assume you have, and we're going to go ahead and jump in and introduce the players here in game number 3 as we spawn up here in the top right-hand corner of the map of the ZVZ between Cerner and Qualcomm. It is going to be the Teal Zerg player representing Team Cerner. It is going to be Cerner's Critch. And his opponent, spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map as the purple Zerg player, representing Team Qualcomm, it is +1. And we are getting not another PvP, but it is a ZVZ, so it is mirror day between these two teams. It's like there was some sort of consensual agreement between the two teams to say, hey, you know what we should do? We should only play mirror matchups, because those are the only true way to get a true testament of skill. Because everyone knows that Protoss is favored in every single matchup, as well as Zerg play. If you're a Protoss player, then Zerg players are favored in every single matchup, and then if you're, I don't know, like a Zerg player, maybe you hate, well actually no, Zerg players hate Protoss players. Maybe Terran players will hate Terran players. Terran players are not getting enough hate right now, guys. Get on it. I'm just kidding. Please don't hate on Terran players. But regardless, it is going to be a ZVZ, and it looks like pretty identical openings coming out from both of these players. 15 or so pools coming out from both of them. Both these players actually very evenly matched as well. They're both in Gold League. It looks like actually Critch sitting at 5-3 right now. 5 wins, 3 losses from Team Cerner. And Qualcomm's +1 sitting 5-2. So, I mean, they're playing the same race. They have relatively the same win rates in the AHGL. They're in the same league. This should actually be a really cool and interesting matchup. Now, we do have an earlier gas geyser going down for +1. And it's worth noting that as they are both grabbing their natural expansion hatcheries and they're both getting up their spawning pools and everything, it has actually been a style for Zerg players to go gasless. And it does sort of change the way that you want to play it out the rest of the matchup, because you're going to have a lot more minerals early on. You don't have to also spend one of your drones getting the early gas geyser, but it looks like we're not going to be seeing that from Critch. He's just grabbing a slightly later gas geyser. He wants to get that maximum amount of minerals nice and early on, and we do actually have 4 Zerglings just poking their way across the map now over here for +1. So +1's going to have a slightly earlier gas geyser. He's going to be able to get up a slightly earlier Zergling speed. As you can see, he's sitting up a good 70 or so gas ahead of his opponent. But honestly, the window of opportunity is so narrow that it's very difficult to really take advantage of it. I mean, you can do it if you're very on point and have a really good idea of what your opponent is doing, exactly what his timings. But again, it's very difficult to do. So I'm not expecting to see too many big differences between these two players so far. In fact, it looks like Critch just saying, you know what, I have 2 Zerglings, that's more than enough to run past your 4. So he just continues to run around. Oh, looks like he's actually going to retreat back home. I feel like he actually could have gotten a nice little scout off scene, you know, the inside of that main base, gotten a scout off on that gas geyser and everything. And if actually you click on the gas geyser, you can see exactly how much your opponent has mined. But I guess at this point, it looks like we had +1 stop mining gas, whereas Critch is still continuing to mine gas. He just got enough for that Zergling speed. Is he going to pull his guys off of gas? If you pull them off, you get additional minerals, because again, you have 3 extra drones mining minerals, but looks like he's actually not doing so. In fact, he has not started off that Zergling speed. He's going straight for a lair. Oh my god, Critch really wants to tech super duper fast. I'm expecting to see some incredibly fast mutals play. Oh, the Zerglings though, they're making their way into the main base. Are they going to scout it out? Oh, he sees so many of those Zerglings. He sees the lair tech though, and that is going to be an enormous reveal for +1. He's going to know, oh man, you are definitely going for some kind of tech play. A Roach Warren now coming down for Critch. Is he just going to go for a speed Roach play at this point and not go for Mutalist? I mean, he has a second geyser now going up, and normally if you do want to go for the Mutalist play, you want to throw down as many of these gas geysers as possible, go for a wall off, as well as even throw down a Spinecrawler. But actually we have just a wall up potentially coming. Oh, a lot of guys getting pulled off. It looks like that might have just been a little bit of a mistake. And we're going to see +1 over here. He's saying, I'm just going to get a Roach Warren, and as long as you're teching heavily, I can go ahead and get a 3rd hatchery. As long as I can defend with either Spore Callers or, you know, my own Roach count, I should be just fine. I think that's exactly what +1 is saying. He can say, I can 1-up you. You might say you can +1 you in the bases. Ho ho ho. But, again, it is going to... You do have to keep in mind that's 300 minerals that he's not going to have for a while. That's going to be basically a sunk investment into nothing. He's not going to actually get any return on this until he starts mining from it and mines at least 300 minerals. So, until that point, if Critch decides to go for some kind of push, he can do a lot of damage, actually, potentially. And it looks like he is getting that Zergling speed, the Galileo reconstitution. And he is not making roaches just yet. He's, in fact, just kind of sitting around, droning up, and I don't know what I think about this. I honestly feel like he's just a little bit in the dark about what the exact situation is right now. His Galileo reconstitution is going to be finishing up soon, and his opponent has already started the +1 missile attacks, which means that he's going to be able to get a nice little lead. +1 is going to have +1 weapons. And Critch still has not actually started either his +1 or armor or weapons, only just now starting it. So it's going to be a little bit further behind. It's not the biggest deal being, you know, a good 20 or so seconds behind unless the engagement happens in those 20 seconds. But still, Critch is going to be falling behind as time goes on because... Yeah, he has a nice healthy drone count, 42 drones. That's all well and good. But there is a third expansion here for Qualcomm's +1, and that means that he is going to be able to start mining over here. He's going to be able to saturate that up. He has additional larva. There's just so many things going in his favor. It looks like +1, after seeing that lair tech, yeah, he's expecting the Mutalisks play, but that is actually not going to be the case. So that is one nice thing that Cerner's Critch does have going for him. And Cerner's Critch finally dropping down that third expansion. But look at that droning. Oh my god, we just had 18 drones being produced. And now going up to a solid 48 drones. That is absolutely absurd. Going up a good 20 drones almost in a matter of seconds. And again, Critch, he's just now grabbing this third expansion, and honestly, I feel like +1 may even be able to just crank out a couple of units and try and put on some pressure on that third expansion. I feel like he could honestly do a pretty nice job of, if not forcing out cancel on that third expansion or killing it off, at least forcing out a lot of units that Critch doesn't necessarily want to make right now, although Critch is actually making quite a few units. He's sitting on an okay drone count, 42 drones. But he's making a lot of units. He's going to have his +1/+1 finish up at some point in the near future. But +1 missile attacks is finished up for +1 now. And he is moving across the map. He's looking to hit the timing. +1 missile attacks now finished up. Does he actually have enough roaches over here, though? He has a handful of Zerglings, but this is actually not that many roaches. And that could become a little bit problematic as both these players are now getting toward more and more even situations, except for the fact that I think that +1 may have missed a little bit of his timing. I think that maybe he over-droned. It's hard a little bit to say exactly what happened, as he is also kind of banking a good number of minerals and everything, just now spending them on more and more of those roaches. But +1/+1 finished up for Critch. Critch actually going to be able to catch a lot of these Zerglings and roaches out in the middle of the map, and now we're going to end up seeing a full retreat over here from +1, but he's going to be losing roaches on this retreat. This is the unideal situation, as you can see over here, that these roaches just move a little bit too slowly to get away quite in time, and Critch going to be snagging up a lot of these roaches, and that could actually really turn the tide of the battle. With all these roaches being lost, I'm not sure if +1's going to have enough to defend this third expansion. He's coming out with more and more reinforcements, but at the same time, Critch is rallying his reinforcements across the map as well, and he just has an overwhelming number of roaches. He has the +1/+1 upgrade to just the +1 weapons of +1, and that means that Critch is going to have the superior upgrades, really turning +1's name on his head, and he is overpowering him. He's going to be able to take out this third expansion. I don't know if +1 can actually do anything about it, as it's getting focused very down. The Hydros are actually coming out now, but the Hydros a little bit spastic, not really sure what to do. This one is trying to dance to try and appease his roach overlords, but it is not going to work. They say, we're not going to have any of it. Takes out the third expansion. And now we end up seeing, it looks like a third expansion over here for Critch. As soon as he starts mining from it, he's going to be in an even better situation, but the drones are being pulled off the line. And the Hydros, the drones, the queens, trying to just buy time, for something, anything to come up. But he is invested in these spore cores. The spore core is completely useless. He just doesn't have anything outside of a handful of these roaches, 2 roaches and 4 Zerglings. That is not going to be enough. He needs an absurdly larger number of units to be able to come up with this kind of defense. And GG's going to get called. Critch with the timing push, with a +1/+1, able to take the game and bringing the series 2-1. in favor of Team Cerner. So Cerner taking the lead now. Will they be able to take this final game, or will Team Qualcomm be able to even it back up? Only one way to find out. I will see you guys in game number 4.